Cathie Wood was right about Binance. Imagine checking your portfolio. 1 minute you are safe. Bitcoin is holding steady at $110,000. The market feels heavy, sure, but it feels normal. Then you blink. You look back at the screen, and for a terrifying split second, the price is zero. Not down 20%, not down 50%, zero. On October 10th, at exactly 21:15 UTC, this wasn't a nightmare. It was reality for millions of traders on the world's largest exchange. In a window of less than 40 minutes, $28 billion vanished into thin air. Binance called it a display glitch. They blamed Donald Trump's tariffs. They blamed the market panic. But then, less than 24 hours later, they quietly paid out $283 million in compensation. Why would an exchange pay nearly $300 million for a display error? According to heavyweights like Cathie Wood and the CEO of rival exchange OKX, the answer is terrifying. They argue that what happened on October 10th wasn't just a crash, it was a structural failure. A smoking gun that proves the machinery of the crypto market is far more fragile than we've been told. Today, we open the file on the October 10th crash. We look at the data they didn't want you to see, and we ask the expensive question, was it a glitch or was it a crime? Section 1. The setup. To understand how $28 billion evaporates in an hour, you have to understand that this didn't start with a bang. It started with a migration. 4 days before the crash, on October 6th, Binance began a massive technical update. They were moving the furniture in the back office, changing how they calculated margins for wrapped assets like wrapped beacon ETH. It sounds boring, it sounds like routine maintenance. But in the world of high-frequency trading, routine maintenance is like changing the tires on a Formula 1 car while it's moving at 200 miles per hour. If you slip, people die. By the morning of October 10th, the system was in a fragile intermediate state, and the sharks smelled blood. Just hours before the chaos, on-chain sleuths watched as Winterminute, one of the latest algorithmic market makers in the world, moved nearly $700 million into Binance. At the time, people thought this was bullish. They thought, hey, the big players are bringing in liquidity to buy the dip. In hindsight, the conspiracy theorists have a different name for it. Pre-positioning. They were loading the gun. Then the match was lit. At 14:57 UTC, while Wall Street was packing up for the weekend, President Donald Trump hit post. The trade war was back. Nuclear option. 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. Now, here is the first strange detail of our investigation. When that news hit, nothing happened. For 6 hours, Bitcoin drifted. It went from 117,000 down to 110. A slow bleed, a normal correction. The market was digesting the bad news. If this was purely a reaction to Trump, the crash should have happened right then. But it didn't. The bomb was ticking under the table, but the timer hadn't hit zero yet. The market waited until the sun went down in New York. It waited until liquidity was at its thinnest, and then someone pulled the plug. Section 2. The 40 minutes of hell. At 20:50 UTC, the selling started. It wasn't retail traders selling their Shiba Inu. This was institutional selling, heavy, concentrated, algorithmic. As the price dropped, the depth of the order book, the safety net of buy orders that usually catches a falling price, evaporated. Market makers, seeing the volatility, did exactly what they are programmed to do. They turned off their machines. They pulled their liquidity to protect themselves. The safety net was gone. The floor was gone. And at 21:15 UTC, we entered the void. In 60 seconds, $3 billion was liquidated. This is where the glitch happened. And I need you to understand how psychological this moment was. Imagine you are a trader holding a token called IoTeX. It's a standard altcoin. You know the market is bad, so you're ready to hold through the dip. But then you look at your Binance app, and the price isn't 4 cents, it isn't 2 cents, the price is zero. Binance later explained that their front-end system had a decimal place error. When the price dropped fast enough, the display rounded it down to zero. But your brain doesn't know that. Your brain sees zero and thinks, rug pull, hack, it's all gone. So what do? You sell. You market sell. You smash the emergency button at any price just to get something back. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. The display said 0, so people sold until the price actually went towards 0. But here is the detail that gave me chills. The dust zombies. Because there were no buyers left, because the liquidity had completely vanished, the Binance matching engine started hunting for anything to fill the sell orders. If it dug deep into the archive, it found dust orders, forgotten limit orders placed by users as far back as 2019. Orders to buy at $0.000001 that people had placed as a joke or a lottery ticket 6 years ago, and they filled. In 2025, amidst a bull market, assets were being sold for prices from the crypto winter of 2019. The past reached up and grabbed the present by the throat. By 21:55 UTC, the violence was over. The damage? Between $19 and $28 billion liquidated, the largest flushing of leverage in the history of the asset class. But as the dust settled, traders realized something odd. If you were trading on Coinbase, you were hurt. If you were trading on Bybit, you were hurt. But if you were trading on Binance, you were dead. Section 3. The mechanics of failure. This is where Cathie Wood comes in. In the days following the crash, the media blamed the leverage. They blamed the degens gambling on meme coins. But Cathie Wood went on Fox Business and said the quiet part out loud. On October 10th, Binance experienced a software glitch that triggered massive automatic deleveraging. She wasn't talking about the display error, she was talking about something much more dangerous, the depeg. Let's look at USDe. This is a synthetic dollar created by Athena. It is supposed to be worth $1, always. On every exchange in the world, USDe held its peg. It traded at 99 cents. But on Binance, during those 40 minutes of hell, USDe crashed to 65 cents. Think about what that means. The asset didn't fail. Binance's marker for the asset failed. This triggered the auto deleveraging mechanism, or ADL. ADL is the grim reaper of crypto. When a user goes bankrupt, the exchange takes their position and forcibly closes it to protect the insurance fund. But here is the crime. The Binance risk engine was looking at the internal price of USDe, that fake, crashed 65-cent price. It looked at thousands of users who were using USDe as collateral. In the real world, these users were safe. They were solvent. Their collateral was worth $1. But inside the Binance black box, the computer decided they were broke. It liquidated them. It sold their Bitcoin, their Ethereum, their Solana. It wiped them out completely. Not because they made a bad trade, but because the exchange's pricing feed broke. This wasn't a fat finger error. This was a localized reality distortion field. If you held your money on chain, you lost nothing. If you held it on Binance, you lost everything. Section 4. The blame game. The backlash was instant. Usually, crypto CEOs follow a code of silence. They don't attack each other because they all live in glass houses. But Star Su, the CEO of OKX, broke the code. He tweeted, "People have underestimated the impact of October 10th. The incident caused a real and lasting damage to the industry." He is positioning OKX as the adult in the room. He's saying, "We didn't break, they did." Binance went into damage control mode. They put out a blog post. They used a lot of technical words. They talked about extreme market volatility and black swan events. They tried to make it sound like a force of nature, a hurricane that nobody could have predicted. But actions speak louder than blog posts. Within 24 hours, Binance announced a compensation plan. They paid out $283 million to the victims of the USDe and WBETH depeg. In the corporate world, you don't write a $300 million check because you are nice. You write it because you are liable. Critics call it hush money. They argue it was a calculated move to stop a class action lawsuit before it could start. Because if a court subpoenaed the logs of the matching engine, what would they find? Would they find a glitch? Or would they find that the engine prioritized protecting the exchange's own insurance fund over the users? And what about Wintermute, the market maker who moved that $700 million? Rumors swirled that they were suing Binance, that they were the ones who got hit hardest. Their CEO, Evgeny Gaivoy, shot back with an insult. calling the rumors ridiculous and telling crypto Twitter they had goldfish memory capacity. He denies the lawsuit, but he doesn't deny the volatility. The message from the industrial giants is clear. The infrastructure isn't ready, the pipes are leaking, and when the pressure gets too high, the little guy is the one who drowns. Section 5. Conclusion. The October 10th crash wasn't just about prices going down. We've seen crashes before. We've seen Bitcoin drop 20% in a day. This was different. This was a glimpse into the plumbing of the financial system we are building. We are told that crypto is decentralized. We are told it is transparent. But on October 10th, we saw that the vast majority of this decentralized money is sitting on centralized servers, controlled by black box algorithms that can mark your assets to zero in a millisecond because of a display error. Cathie Wood was right. It wasn't just the market, it was the machine. Binance survived October 10th. They paid the fine. They patched the glitch. The price of Bitcoin recovered. But for the 1.6 million traders who were wiped out in those 40 minutes, there is no recovery. They are the ghosts in the machine, the dust zombies of the next cycle. And the lesson they left behind is expensive but simple. Not your keys, not your coins, and definitely not your glitch.